While police have made no arrests in this case or identified any suspects, these court documents show that Sarah and her husband had recently filed for divorce and had a volatile relationship. 2-mile stretch of road here in Oklahoma City on Robinson Avenue is more commonly referred to as the track. It's a notorious stretch of road in Oklahoma known for its seedy crimes, including prostitution, pimping, pandering, and even human trafficking. And while less girls are seen working these streets these days in comparison to just 2 years ago, we're told much of that is only because the business has evolved.
OBN's Human Trafficking Division was first assembled in 2012 here at the agency's headquarters in Oklahoma City. Here, 7 agents assigned to the division have often worked alongside multiple surrounding agencies. Together, they've helped make hundreds of arrests, putting pimps and johns behind bars. Take a look at this evidence room. It's filled with illegal drugs like marijuana, meth, and even cocaine. All of it taken off the streets of Oklahoma. And while criminals sell it for profit, in the sex trafficking industry, it's often used as leverage for manipulation.
It's a cruel disease that robs you of your memories and then your body bit by bit. Alzheimer's. Currently, more than 5 million Americans are living with the disease, and every 67 seconds, someone in the U.S. develops Alzheimer's. This week, I got to sit down with an incredible woman here in Comanche County whose husband was diagnosed 3.5 years ago. Bill Melton has always been a cowboy, a jokester, a family man. And for the past 31 years, Angela's husband.
We met at a Billy Arnold dance.
Like most American couples, they spent their lives working and raising a family, and even made time to operate their demanding farm and ranch. But 3 years ago, just as they started to plan for retirement, Angela says there were signs something inside Bill was changing.
Mainly the college kids. My kids were in college at the time, and they would come, not very often, and they would say, "What's with your dad?" So you just think, oh, well, we all forget things or do things.
The couple spent the next 3 years in and out of hospitals until one day a doctor gave them the devastating diagnosis.
Because we got something hard to do.
Bill had Alzheimer's.
He got in the car and said, "My life is over," and he didn't talk.
Bill's once sharp mind soon became so fogged he could no longer work.
That first 1.5 years was pretty rough. He wanted to work and couldn't work, and that was a big hurdle to get over.
As Bill learned to cope with the disease, so did Angela.
And I knew to have patience, but I learned patience at a different level.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Everything's good. Everything's good. Is that your horse out there?
Her love and patience unwavering, even when put to the test.
Am I your lover? Am I your wife?
Huh?
Do you love me?
I what?
Do you love me? Do you love me?
Who says that?
See, he is not understanding what I'm saying.
How's your
but
mama?
If he says it to you, my mom's good. My mama's good.
She started making him lists of his day-to-day schedule, where to go and what to do. And for a while, Bill followed the lists until he couldn't remember much at all.
Takes your memories. He remembers things. He knows various people. He's forgotten things. He'll ask me who I am. You know, I'm his mom now sometimes.
But Angela says as she watched her life partner slip from her world, she decided to step into his.
Come here.
So we tend to want to try to get them to come back to where they were and be the person they were. That's not going to happen. You have to accept that, and then you try to go to their world, and that works so much better.
Are these your cows over here?
Angela says the disease has changed their lives, and with it, they've adjusted.
Yeah, ain't gonna be.
You know, I don't go to Walmart with him very much. That just doesn't work. I lost him one time, and I'm running around the store because, like a little kid, you can lose him in 2 seconds because you're reading a label, and they're gone.
But she says while Bill may no longer have the independence he once knew, even in its advanced stages, the disease hasn't stripped him of it altogether, and neither has she.
Oh, okay.
Well, he'll dress himself, but it takes longer now. You say, put your jeans on. You might hand him his jeans 14 times, and he lays them over here and say, what's next? But he'll eventually get his jeans on them more. So I don't take over dressing him. we assist, but I give him enough time to do it.
And Angela says while she knows she and Bill have a long road ahead, she'll patiently journey alongside him in search of a cure. And Angela says knowledge is power. She says reach out for help, accept help, ask questions, and most importantly, don't give up. One by one.
I just feel that he's being done wrong.
Supporters.
Because I think Ronnie Smith is the finest chief of police we've ever had in Lawton.
Came in by the droves throughout the day.
When they came to work this morning at 8 o'clock, there was already people waiting to get in to sign it.
Dr. Louis Reyna.
When I read the article, I said, whoa.
Not only came to sign Smith's petition.
Thank you for starting.
Hey, I appreciate that.
But to also get copies to place in his own office.
After all these years of service, for one incident, even if there's a question as to how proper his behavior was in regards to this event, you just cannot throw away everything else that he has done and throw him out. I think that if there was any impropriety, that should be dealt with, but certainly not. I don't think it warrants the degree of punishment has been rendered upon him.
Hodges, Reyna, and other supporters hope the stack of signatures and Facebook page.
And the name of the Facebook page is Bring Chief Ronnie Smith Back to Lawton.
Will speak to the city.
If they are voted in by the city and by the citizens, I would think that they would have to take that into consideration.
I think they should take the whole man and his career as a whole and put this business at hand in perspective. It seems to me that it hasn't been.
I want to be part of getting him back on that police force.
After nearly 3 years in court, 2 mistrials, and a manhunt, jury members spent less than 4 hours determining the fate of Charles Dyer.
Guilty verdict.
Guilty.
And guilty is exactly what the mother of the little girl and grandparents said they had hoped for all along.
Closure, move on with our lives, and she don't ever have to get on the stand again, look at his face, talk about it, anything. She gets to be a little girl now.
We're just going to try to raise her as the little girl she is, the way she's supposed to be. She's a little tomboy. She's always been Papa's little girl, so it's always been really close to my heart, you know.
But after 2 mistrials, it was a verdict that even Stevens County District Attorney Jason Hicks says he wasn't sure anyone would hear.
Well, you always feel nervous when your case is in front of a jury because you just don't know exactly what 12 people are going to do.
Stevens County Sheriff Wayne McKinney says he was also uncertain of how this trial would end. After he says Dyer often diverted the focus of the trial.
His position was that everyone was, that the federal government had this conspiracy because he was a part of a militia. My department was after him for whatever reason. That law enforcement in general, the district attorney's office was after him. We didn't just pick Charles Dyer out of all the people that live in Stevens County and decide to file charges on him. This came from a report of a sexual abuse to a small child. When it was investigated, the evidence was pointing to him, and he was arrested for it, and now he's had his day in court.
Even though a guilty verdict was something several people hoped to hear, others, including Dyer, were left with little to say.
Charles, do you have any comment? Anything you want to say?
I was sitting in the front row when the verdict was read and looked at Dyer, and he had his head down, very, very passive.
And while family members and supporters of the victim say they are happy with the verdict, they say they also feel for the family of the person they hate most.
It's a heartbreak for the other family. Even though we believe he's guilty, it is a heartbreak for that family.
Yeah.
They've lost a son now.
Yeah.
And we're not here to gloat. That's not what that's about.
One by one, all of them in handcuffs. The suspects trekked in to be booked, and it was early before sunrise.
So a lot of them were still in their night clothes when we gave them the wake-up call this morning.
Needless to say, these guys weren't happy about their arrests or our cameras.
Hope you're having fun, man. News here too?
But Stevens County District Attorney Jason Hicks
Let's go get them.
says these suspected drug dealers only have themselves to blame.
These arrests are not simple possession arrests. They are distribution arrests.
There was one surprise arrest, this man, Stephen Gandy, a Duncan bail bondsman.
He was bonding out of jail were some of the very people that he was supplying the methamphetamine to.
And Hicks says that should come as no surprise to anyone.
You know, it runs the gamut from the top of the economic ladder all the way down to the bottom, and we've arrested everybody.
Though they may come from several different walks of life, officials say one thing today's arrestees have in common is the way they've been affected by drugs.
Yeah, I've seen people come through our jail that is on meth, and it's a heartbreaking sight to see what would be a beautiful lady that's on meth, what it's done to her body and doing to her life.
They'll fight with officers, they'll fight with others, they lose weight, they pretty much lose their mind.
Officials say they have no choice but to crack down on anyone caught using or selling drugs.
As soon as we get these folks off the streets, there will be more that take their place.
And they'll be ready.
Everybody can take notice that we're going to be out looking for them.
I have zero sympathy for them and zero tolerance for the drug problem that we see not only in our county but throughout the state of Oklahoma. It's a terrible epidemic right now.
Officials say this drug raid focused on the sale of methamphetamine, a drug that's had a resurgence in popularity in Oklahoma. For 7 News, I'm Sylvia Corkill.